Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to the Love Your Vibe podcast. I'm your host, Reverend Sean Robert Grant. Happy and excited as always to have you here with me, ready to get into another fantastic, life-transforming message. And it has everything to do with self-love, loving yourself unconditionally. Ladies and gentlemen, that is by far one of the, if not the most important aspects of life to have on a regular basis. But before we get into that, let's take a few moments to take care of some business here. Guys, thank you first and foremost for all of the support, all of the downloads, all of the just every amazing thing that you guys are doing here on a regular basis that's helping this podcast be as successful as it is. So thank you in advance for that. We appreciate you. Appreciate all our listeners around the world. If you have any questions about anything, please write to us at shaung04@gmail.com, and we will get back to you as soon as we can. Happily, no doubt about it. And once again, thank you for the support. Thank you for sharing the podcast with people who can definitely benefit and use it to their advantage to live their very best life. And we will keep on continuing to bring you the utmost of knowledge, wisdom, insight, and understanding every time we come on the air. So with that being said, thank you. Let's get into today's message here. The irrefutable power of loving yourself unconditionally. Okay. And I want you to just think about that for a second. Okay. So there's a reason why I wanted you to take a moment to think about that, because I wanted you to notice if anything came up in reference to that or in opposition, right? I guess in support to that or to opposition to that, right? Because a lot of times we can begin to discover the truth of how we feel about something just by whatever triggers the subconscious mind to provide something, in relation to it. And we never really know what it is that we're holding true within ourselves as it relates to a concept until we have to face that concept, which the universe does an absolutely phenomenal job with, leading us into situations that will help us to face those things that, have given us issues in the past or allow us to not be as loving towards ourselves. The universe makes sure that we reach a point to where we will continually face that until we can just stare it right in the face and say, you know what? I love you. I love you. I love you. I love you. You may not be what I prefer, or you may not be what I desire to have happen, but I love you. Okay. And it's at that moment we transcend the unloving issues and they lose all their power. I was reading Whatever Arises, Love That by Matt Kahn. And the reason I love that book is because I'll read it and I'll take a minute and then I'll start to meditate and I'll see what my inner guide, my intuitive wisdom comes up with and what God leads me to see in that regard. And it's an amazing thing because there's always some nugget of wisdom and insight that comes through. And so after I was reading that book, I was just kind of sitting and meditating, and I just came to the divine conclusion, right? I had it revealed to me that if you can say, I love you to all of your problems and issues, your problems and issues will cease to exist. Now, this definitely along the lines of clairaudience, divine revelation, God's voice. And I mean, anything, like it was just like, boom. And, I never looked at things in that capacity before at any point in time in my life until that moment. And I said to myself, you know what? I'm going to give this a shot. I'm going to give this a shot because I have been such a problem solver, creative solution type of guy, but never have I been the guy that says, I'm going to love on this problem. I'm going to love on this issue, not just in other people and other things, but also within myself. I'm going to say, Sean Robert Grant, I love you. And I love this situation both unconditionally. I love you. I love you. I love you unconditionally. Now, you may be thinking, well, I'm not at a place where I'm ready to love myself unconditionally. Doesn't matter. Say it anyway, because you know why? The universe is so just magical, right? The divine is so magical because whenever we say something, the subconscious mind goes to work right away to bring it to the forefront of your consciousness, of your experience. And that also includes, let's say, if you say, I love you, John Smith, right, unconditionally, and there's something standing in the way of you loving yourself unconditionally, the universe is going to bring that up in order for you to love yourself unconditionally. And that's what's so wonderful about this life, universal, transformative power of God, which is love, self-love, beginning to reign supremely in our lives. It's just a terrific, absolute terrific concept and method and just tool that we have access to that just transcends everything. I've said this time and time again in the last couple of weeks on, whatever outlet I'd been teaching, and it just, love has that power, right? And I really want you to take a look at any area of your life, no matter what it's been. It could be your health, it could be your finances, it could be your relationships, it could be your mindset, your spirituality, whatever it is. Just take a look at it. And now, even if you can't feel it completely, just say, I love you unconditionally, right? Say, I love the idea that I've been having issues with my stomach lately. I love it unconditionally and I accept it unconditionally, right? I love that I've been having financial issues lately and money just seems to not come into my life. I love it unconditionally. I love it unconditionally that I've been having problems with my spouse. It's showing me where I can be better. And you know what? I love and accept that unconditionally. I love myself unconditionally. I accept myself unconditionally with every fiber of my being, with all of creation, with my entire mind, body, and spirit. I love you unconditionally. Now just think about everything that I just spoke of and the power that comes from that statement. Right? You see, the beautiful thing about love, and I'm talking about the essence of God, universal consciousness type love, divine love, we should say, it doesn't need you to do anything to sort of back it up, if that makes sense. The power of it is not contingent upon how much you believe, right? This love is so inherently powerful within the cosmos that it will act just because you have provoked it into existence. And it only moves according to that divine order, divine right action, and divine law of divine love. It will only move according towards that pattern. And what we just did when I went through that course of I love you unconditionally, that's exactly what's happening. Love is following its perfected, right? It's magnificent, it's transformative, it's transcending pattern of equalizing every single thing that is out of alignment with it and then placing it into alignment with it. Right? This is the greatest power. And it leads me to this. So, depending on where we are in our spiritual journey in consciousness, we can possibly still see things outside of us as threats per se. We can still see things outside of us as problems, as issues, as we discussed, right? But there comes a time in this journey of self-awareness and self-realization that we understand that life is truly just reflecting us, reflecting our energy. Basically, it's a mirror to the very essence of who we are within ourselves. Now, that is a power that is truly on a different level of vibrational resonance, a different level of frequency as it relates to thinking. And it's something special when you get a hold of the awareness and the understanding of what it can do in your life, when you understand that, okay? So once we get to that state of awareness, that state of consciousness that tells us life is just reflecting who we are, the essence of who we are, it's mirroring who we are, then we can take a look at ourselves and take a look within and ask, okay, where have I been, what experience, what circumstances have been unloving in nature within my life? And it's not hard. All you got to do is anything that is in harmony with love is functioning properly and functioning at a high level of consciousness, period, right? That's how you know love is present. Anything dysfunctional is operating outside of love, out of alignment with love. So you know what we do? We find those things that we're out of alignment with, and we look them right in the eye. We just see it for what it is, as sincere and authentic and genuine as we can. And we say, I love you just the way that you are. I love you unconditionally, just the way that you are. Now, it may seem like I'm talking about a person, but I'm talking about a person. I'm talking about an entity. I'm talking about a situation. Why? Because it's all just reflecting us. So what we're actually doing is loving unconditionally ourselves, right? And then when we go up a little bit higher in awareness, we understand that it's not even a case of paying attention or directing the energy towards that person, place, thing, situation, or condition. We direct it right at ourselves, right? We direct it right at ourselves. Doesn't matter what type of situation it is. We just say, I love you unconditionally. I love you so very much unconditionally. I accept you unconditionally. I love you, Sean Robert Grant, unconditionally. And now I just said my name, but you can insert your name there and just pay attention to what you begin to feel. I'm going to share with you. I did a practice and I've been doing this practice for a while, where and there's this app called the Parrot app. I know there's another one out there that's called Rewire, but I like to use the Parrot app. And the reason I enjoy the Parrot app is because you can record a message of any length within the Parrot app, and the Parrot app will repeat the message until you stop it, right? So you could play it as long as you want until your phone dies, right? And that's the only time it will stop. Other than that, it will continue to keep going. It'll also stop with phone calls and things of the sort. But, at night, if you're listening to this, you can put your phone on airplane mode, and there'll be no interruptions, and it'll just play all night long. And I love this so much. I love this app because I recorded I Love You Unconditionally, Sean Robert Grant, with all of my heart, soul, all of creation, entire mind, body, and spirit within my subconscious mind. I recorded this, okay? And it played over and over and over and over again all night long when I recorded it, okay? And what was so mystical about this situation is how all of a sudden my body began to react to this love being unconditional. Every single thing that was out of alignment with love came to the forefront, and I mean rushing. I'm talking about, I think it probably was one of the sickest days I had in my life because everything that was out of alignment with that unconditional self-love, right, had to be removed. And this is how quickly love worked when I planted the seed within my subconscious mind. So I talk about this a lot, but I'm just going to tell you, we've known for some time, or I assume we've known, but even if you hadn't, we've known that whatever ideas we place into our sphere of consciousness or our unconscious on a before bed, right, or during sleep, we know that that directly influences the outcome of our lives. Okay? So I'm going to give you my experience as far as how I begin to watch this or just practice this in my life. So I would do what Neville Goddard talked about, and then Joseph Murphy was another one. Really fantastic information. Those guys, they kind of open the door for you, and then you got to really kind of kick it open for yourself. But I would focus on, in certain intentions, certain affirmations before I went to bed, and I realized, you know what, it definitely works, right? It may not work as much as I've wanted it to, but it definitely works. And then I found this Parrot app, right? And I was like, you know what? I notice that there are hours throughout the night where I am completely and utterly, my conscious mind, my reasoning, logical mind that has the power to reject ideas is completely asleep. And my subconscious is completely wide open. And so I took the Parrot app and I recorded that message I was telling you, I love you unconditionally, Sean Robert Grant. And it just played over and over and over and over. And to the point where I eventually fell asleep. And that message was playing into my subconscious mind for 6 or 7 hours that night. Okay. Now I told you, I mentioned how sick I was after the fact. It was hell then. I'm not going to sit here and lie to you. But when I got past that point and then I came back and I did it again the next night, every single thing in my life began to reflect the essence of me unconditionally loving myself. And that was without a doubt the most irrefutable power that I have ever discovered in my life, without question. It transformed how things unfolded, how people reacted, how people treated me. People who would never say anything to me would come up and say stuff. I would receive different gifts and just all these things, but everything was in complete coherence and resonance with me loving myself unconditionally. Remarkable. And it was because once that idea got impregnated into the subconscious, it was a done deal. And I noticed I began to love myself immensely. I began to love myself unconditionally. Things I hated about myself, right? Not hated, but just disliked for the longest time. I began to love them. I began to say, you know what? I accept this. This has given me so much in a space of who I am and who I was meant to be. I love it unconditionally. And it became that easy. It became that possible to open myself up to this love of something that I just disliked on myself for years. And then it began to reflect on the outside, where I was once extraordinarily judgmental about certain things or certain people. It all went away, right? And it happened that fast. So I told myself, okay, if this is the impact that can be created in a matter of 2 days, what would happen if I did this for the entire year? If I did this for 5 years straight, if I did this for 10 years, 20 years, the rest of my life? Because the thing is with self-love, you got to stay on it, right? You got to cultivate it over and over and over again. It's not something that just happens. I sadly used to think you reach it one time and then all of a sudden it goes away. No, you got to love yourself as you would like your pet, or your children, or whatever you love unconditionally. You've got to consistently bring that love to bat every single day, because that's how it pays dividends. And I'm telling you, it can start small as far as the impact on the outside, but once you get this ball rolling, once you're in that position where you're loving yourself unconditionally and you're feeding your subconscious mind this idea, look out. And I will tell you, you never have to ever be afraid of life again, because everything is being rooted from that essence of that irrefutable power of unconditional self-love. It's amazing. It's amazing how it works itself out. And the truth of the matter is, you have exactly every single thing you need to make it a reality. And it just starts with saying, I love you unconditionally, and working through whatever comes up from that space. I promise you it will transform your life and everybody else's life within you. Why? Because here's the thing. You can only manifest in your life what you vibrate with. Imagine vibrating with unconditional self-love. Everything you come into contact with, vibrating with that. Imagine that. That is what's possible here for us, for you, for anybody that's willing to unconditionally love themselves. With that being said, guys, thank you so much for joining me. One of my favorite messages, because I know when it's taken to heart, it will transform anyone's life, no matter what it is, no matter what the circumstance. It doesn't matter what the circumstances are. Love can transcend all of it when it is implemented. And I just want to thank you guys for joining me today on this podcast. If you have any questions, like we said in the beginning, write to us at shaung04@gmail.com, and we'll get back to you as soon as we can. Keep listening, keep sharing, keep downloading. We'll keep bringing the hits for you. Excitingly, happily. Guys, have a wonderful night. If you're listening to it at some other time, have a wonderful day or evening or afternoon, and we will talk soon. Thank you so much. Take care. Bye-bye.